Welcome to Brolapse, the fisting podcast that goes deep. Explore my life, views, and raw, unfiltered conversations with the creators that are redefining kink, connection, and the fisting community. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Brolapse. Today I'm thrilled to have my guest on the show. It sort of feels like we're like kindred spirits a little bit already. Prolapse brothers, Angel Díaz on the show. You're from overseas in the UK, correct?
Yes, I'm in London.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, so as I said, my name is Angel Díaz. I live in the UK, London. I'm a content creator, among other things, and I like to call myself the ultimate powerverse and possibly the best prolapse in the UK. We have the jury's still out on that one.
That's nice. It is quite nice. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've perused your videos, and I think it's really hot that you call yourself the ultimate powerverse. The moment I saw that the prolapse, though, I was like, damn, like this one's my brother already. Because it's like people don't understand what it's like to live with a prolapse, and so I have yet to have anybody on the show that truly has one similar to mine, or similar to the way that mine was prior injury. But so I'm really excited to talk to you and get to know a little bit about your experience with living with one and like just your experience in general. So when did your rosebud first start showing up, and how did you feel about it?
So I think it's probably kind of similar to your story, and I think I've already broken a lot of hearts in DMs on Twitter over this, so I will have to probably do that again on this podcast. But I think for guys who have a prolapse the size of ours, it's purely genetics. That's the way we were built. So my first experience is, I think it's kind of almost like a ritual or rite of passage for all of us, where you basically go take a shit at some point in your life. I must have been a teenager, or I would say 14, 15. And then you reach and you feel there's something there. And you just, because the thing is also, because the sensitivity is very strange. It's not like touching a part of your body or like touching your leg or your arm. It's a very different sensation. So
Right.
I was perplexed, and then I realized, oh shit, this is my insides hanging out. So I was like, well, how do I get them back in quickly? Am I dying? Am I hurt? And then so I kind of did what I had to do, quickly went on the internet. And mind you, when I was 14 or 15, the internet was not what it is today.
How old are you?
36.
Okay, we're the same age. Were you born in 88?
89. So I'm March.
89, okay.
So it's already behind me.
The internet when we were that age there wasn't really a ton of information.
No, and also you had to wait like hours to load any page whatsoever. So I looked it up and I saw that this was a thing, and I think it was kind of pictured or portrayed as undesirable. So I kind of quickly push it aside and was like, okay, we're just not going to talk about this with ourselves. And then cut to quite a few years later, I was in a long-term relationship with my ex for 4 years, and weirdly enough, even though we never spoke about it, that's something that he would joke about a lot. And he would call me, we would watch Drag Race, and he would say, your drag name would be Prolapse, which boggles my mind, because we never spoke about this, because obviously I was not showing it to anybody.
Did he know that you had one? So he just guessed that?
I guess.
That's wild.
It's wild. In retrospect, I'm like, maybe it was written in the stars or something.
Yeah.
And so I grew a bit more ashamed of it, because I thought, oh my God, this is gross. This is unhealthy. This is something that, is the object of mockery and jokes.
Yeah.
So didn't think about it, or just didn't want to embrace it. And it's only last year, actually, that I was perusing Twitter, and I saw a video of someone having their prolapse fucked and fisted. I can't remember who it was, but then it just clicked, and I was like, wait, is that a thing? Do people really like it? Because, oh my God, I've got something to show you guys.
That's awesome. Surprise!
And the prolapse was revealed, I think, a couple of weeks after that.
That's awesome. It is kind of, I remember feeling shame about it too, and I remember thinking I had a hernia, That's what I thought it was at first. What is happening? And I've had it since I was 16 as well. So, and I remember freaking out and then being ashamed of it, but then also kind of also intrigued by it. And so I was getting fisted, and I would see my rosebud in videos, and I'd be like, oh my god, it's getting bigger. And then during COVID, I decided to dive into it and make it my thing. And so that's when I saw it grow into like crazy size. But yours wasn't. It can't have been that big when you started. It was probably it's grown probably significantly over time. Because it's pretty big in the videos I've seen.
I think it grows. It comes out more easily when I get fisted because then you're fully relaxed. But
Yeah.
I can push it out anytime, anywhere. But I obviously, because I had a difficult relationship with it for so long. I didn't even try to push it out to the max because I was like, oh my god! Like literally, my first thought was, am I dying?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So not even hernia. Like this is how dramatic I am. I was like, oh my god, this is death. This is the end of me at
No,
15. Um,
it's the end of me at 15.
yeah. So
Nuts.
I don't think I could tell you if it really grew. I think my confidence in it grew.
Yeah,
That's like knowing that okay, this is not something that's gonna kill me. This is not something that I mean, some people will find it disgusting, but this is the world we live in. Everyone's got their own thing. People shit on everyone's
yeah.
parade all the time. So, but to know that there are actually people who want to see that, I think it just gives me the confidence to just like push it all out.
Have you noticed that there's like been like this like massive influx of prolapsers recently? I just feel like there's so many new guys that have prolapses. It seems like there's just my feed. I'm just like prolapse, which is great because I love it. But it's just there's so many guys that are getting into it now. A much bigger fetish than it was
Well, it's
10
spring,
years ago.
so it's blossoming everywhere, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's true.
I don't know if I've noticed an increase in prolapses, but definitely I'm constantly surprised by how many people actually love to see it. That's something that
Yeah.
I'm a bit amazed at because to me it's still very niche, and I understand how it can be gruesome and a bit gory in a certain way because literally your gauze are out.
Yeah. There's Twitter. On Twitter, they had there was a rule: you can't have a Twitter page or an X page dedicated specifically to prolapsing,
Okay,
because if you do, then it's considered gore porn, like
okay.
gore, blood, and violence. But if you have a page that's fisting and prolapsing, then you're in the clear because your page isn't dedicated solely to the gore aspect.
Can we talk about this
So,
now? Because we had that conversation in private
which one?
messages, or do you want to wait, or should we have that conversation right now?
About no, let's talk about it now. So, and I actually for reference for you guys, we had a discussion about which isn't listed. I don't think I put it in my questions, but we had a discussion about the fact that there was a little rumor that somebody from Just for Fans or something had claimed that they were going to not allow a prolapse category or something like
Mhm.
that. And then I spoke to Jeremy at Just for Fans, and Dominic's actually going to come on the show, kind of like address some of that. And so Jeremy told me that whoever said that was incorrect, but there is still a giant stigma around prolapsing. Like you see all the categories for like every kind of kink, and prolapse is not ever really listed. And so go ahead and tell me what happened.
Yeah, so I was not directly speaking to them, but a friend of mine met some of the team at the Grabbies last weekend or whenever that was. And this is someone from the French team, so there might be different perspectives on
Disconnect.
these things. But
Yeah,
basically, I asked why there wasn't a category for prolapses or even rosebuds. When it's
yeah,
like sometimes when I try to label my videos on Just for Fans, I see stuff that I'm like, is there really a market for that? Like, really? It's just like
yeah,
when clearly there is a market for prolapse. So, my thought was, well, not only would it make it easier for people who want to see it to find us, because I
yeah.
think the closest like gaping, but that's not the same thing. So
No,
I submitted the question as to why that was the case, and the reply that I got was that they see it as a practice that can put people in physical harm and can be
yeah,
dangerous, and that's why they want to exclude it as to not promote it. Which again, like, listen, they are a business. I don't expect them to have medical degrees in anything or to have like an understanding of how absolutely every kink under the sun works. But I think it
yeah,
really reveals how even big players within the porn industry don't understand what it is, and don't have the education around it that's necessary to really make informed decisions. Because,
Right.
you and I, we're going to prolapse whether we're filming or not, whether we want it or not. It's a part of us. I would sometimes put it on the same level as, having a big dick. Like, you can't train yourself into having a big dick. You can't train yourself into
Yeah.
having a massive prolapse. You do or you
Right.
don't. And I think the sort of follow-up argument that I hear is what maybe that's going to encourage people to try and do it. But then you can say the same about fisting or even anal. I think
Yeah.
the health consequences of bareback fucking are much more significant than trying to prolapse. And
Yeah.
I do bareback
So
sex.
I would.
I know I'm fully informed, but if you want to talk about health risks, you have to be honest here. So I'm trying to get that
Yeah.
ball rolling, not just for my financial interest, let's face it, but also to be part of that destigmatization around it. Because you still see online a
Right.
lot of comments pushing towards like, this is unhealthy, this is dangerous. Like, you can find it gross, it's fine, but don't say it's unhealthy when, like, most of the people who comment that, they act like they're doctors when if you ask them to give you the water cycle, they would be stuck.
It's like when I hurt myself, everybody and their brother wanted to jump on my case about how it had to have been from prolapsing, and it wasn't. It had nothing to do with that whatsoever. And so, but everybody just kind of wanted to just blame it on that. And I think the clarification that I got from Jeremy, and I'll clarify it again with Dominic when I have him on in a couple weeks, but was that they have the tag, the prolapse tag, on Just for Fans. It's like the hashtag prolapse. So that's how you can sort of search for it, but they don't have a category integrated yet. So there's not a category that you can put prolapse in. There are categories for literally every fucking kink under the sun. But you're right, prolapses and rosebuds don't show up on that list. So we're relegated to just using a hashtag to search for it. So it's kind of annoying. So I'm hopefully between you and I, we can get them to change their.
I mean, listen, it's not the biggest fish to fry out there. I just want to put it out there. But,
Yeah.
if there's any cause that I think you and I and a cluster of other people can argue against our case for, it's probably that.
Yeah. Could you imagine, like, me, you, I Down FF, Hunt Boy, Trophy Muscle, all of us banding together, unionizing for prolapsers? It's like
The Avengers
we
of
will be
Prolapse.
equally represented. The Avengers of Prolapse Avenger. Amazing. I would love it. I'm totally here
That
for
is
it.
a video that
So,
I'm pretty sure a lot of people would pay a lot of money to see.
oh my god. Could you imagine all of us in a row, like all prolapse,
Or
like out? Like, it would be
just
so
joining them
insane.
in like a proper, like a rose, like we just like line our butts in a circle.
Yeah.
And they all touch in
Oh
the
my god.
center.
We call it the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden, I think is that's the, yeah. Okay, we've come up we've absolutely created a new video. And speaking of videos, because I was gonna ask you beforehand we started filming because I was so excited to hear about this. So the video that you shot with Fun Days, I'm friendly with him. I filmed with him, and so I followed him on Just for Fans. And so I was scrolling through, and I saw this video. Yeah, he's beautiful. He's so nice, and he takes such good videos. It's really impressive. But he had this video of you, and I saw you on your back outside getting fisted. It was like anonymous fisting, cum dump, whatever. And I've watched that video like 50 fucking times in the last week. You're getting fisted with your prolapse outside your body, outside, and it looks like the woods. It's pretty crazy. So what's the backstory behind filming that in a park?
We shot that, I think, last year, October, November. And the way I work with my videos is sometimes very simple, especially first time meeting someone. I think the brief is very simple. Just, who's going to get fisted? Who's going to fist the other person? Is it going to be a flip? So it's mostly about the roles and getting to know the other person. So with AB, Fun Dazed, I never know what to say for him, but with him, we're going to keep his real name private. That was the third time filming, so we already had that report. So I think second or third time filming with someone is everything is more relaxed. And whenever that's the case, I try to be a bit more ambitious creatively, or just follow an instinct or a thought that I might have. The idea behind this is, so I'm a huge Kylie fan. That's not Kylie Jenner, that's Kylie Minogue, because I know that in the US, one is wrongly more popular than the other.
Yeah.
And she has a song called Where the Wild Roses Grow. And there's a line that goes, he knelt above me with a rock in his fist. And I was listening to that song and it just clicked. I was like, where the wild rosebuds grow. Of course. It makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that's
I had the
awesome.
idea, knew a location which is conveniently close to mine, which
Mhm.
is also a cruising ground. So it's
Okay.
either the locals know and they don't go because they know what happens there, or they do go precisely
Yeah.
for what happens there. So
Yeah.
I presented the idea to him and we just talked it through and how we were going to film it. Just got there, I knew which spots would lend themselves to me being on them. So there's like a big like fallen tree. There's like
Yeah.
a tree stump right in the middle of nowhere, and we just went and did what we had to do.
Were you
But
nervous? Were you nervous?
no, I'm just like, if shit happens, it just happens. If I've prepared in my mind and if I know exactly what I'm going to do, I'm willing to accept someone walking in on us, knowing that it was November, so it was quite cold. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone would have been walking their dog by accident in that specific area. So it was a calculated risk as well.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like if it was like in the middle of summer, I think I would have gone out way outside London and found a very quiet
Yeah.
location.
I just thought it was so hot. You're on your back and you're getting fisted outside your prolapse, and that is one of my favorite things to do. I feel like there's this like in my head. I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? This is crazy. I'm getting fisted outside my body, but it feels so good. It's hard. It's a hard feeling to explain to people. I don't know if you get asked the same questions that I do, but what does it feel like? I don't know. It feels like I'm taking the best shit of my life over and over again. So I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. That's
It's
funny.
just
Well, that's
natural.
really cool.
It's just that's like asking a fish what water feels like. It's such a part of who we are that again I'm sure you're the same. I could prolapse right now.
Yeah. Yep. Me too. Do you want to?
Let's go.
Oh my god. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to retrain mine, which is, I mean, I still have a rosebud. It's pretty big still. It's not that big, and it comes out like this far though. But ever since my surgery, I'm hoping that when I get reconnected, that it'll be able to come out similar to the way it was before. But it's like it's just kind of, it does feel like I lost a limb. Like, I look at old pictures, like, I wish I still had it, but it's
It might come out
it'll
bigger.
come back.
Who knows?
I know, and then wouldn't that be a fucking blessing? So like, so what is it? I guess you sort of asked this. We were just sort of talking about this. What does it feel like to live with a prolapse? Because I know I get asked this a lot. Like I just said, the physical sensations, the care that it takes, the weird moments we don't talk about. I know that for a while, for me, I was lying to people, and they'd be like, "Does it come out when you take a shit?" And I'm like, "No, of course not." And then, like, in reality, it does for me every time I take a shit. So
Every
it's
time.
like for a while, yeah, I was. So I was lying about it for a while for no reason. Then I started being honest about it, and I'm just like, it is what it is. And so, what is your day to day experience like living with prolapse? Like, is it sort of, have you ever had any impact on your quality of life or anything like that? Like,
Well, now with that we open the toilet chapter.
discussion?
Yeah, because I did listen to quite a few episodes of the podcast, so that's also why I'm super happy to be on it. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
It's because you said, maybe American toilets are built different, but your private is really way bigger than mine. But you said like that sometimes touch the water. I don't think that's because I know German toilets have the same system where it's like you have a little parapet and then like the proper dip. Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like ours are like a bowl, and then there's like ours. I've noticed that Americans use way more water in their toilets than Europeans do.
Mm.
There's way more water in the toilets that are in Europe that I've seen than compared when I come home. It seems like we're very wasteful of water.
Mm.
So
yeah.
So like I think just higher to the level where my butthole sits, then it's like easier to get water.
But in the UK, at least, it's like a pit. So I think your products would have to be the length of an arm for it to reach the water. But what does happen is sometimes it touch the ridge at the back.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that I always have to be careful with, especially when I use public toilets, to always brush it off, because like I don't want to be like a nasty person like this. Like campfire rules, you have to leave the toilet in the same conditions, if not better than you found them. So that's something that will happen. Something about me as well is that I work in fitness. Sometimes I'll be teaching a class that is very high intensity cardio. Depending on like if my feet are wide and I'm doing like a twisting motion, especially like mixed martial arts, jabbing, that kind of stuff, I can feel it opening. So I have to like remind myself, just stick it back in. Otherwise, they might have more than what they paid for.
I'm so turned on just hearing you talk about that. I think that's so hot.
Maybe
So
that should be a
like,
video, just like
keep going.
punching a boxing bag and just like
Yes,
comes out. No, no, no. Oh god, so many videos. Let
so
me write
funny.
down. Something that will happen is if I eat too much or too fast, then I think maybe it's because the pressure builds in your abdomen. It will
Sure.
come out with a fucking vengeance, and then I will have to manually push it back in because just it just doesn't
Yeah.
want to come out. And that's the one where like now I have to be super careful. Like, it's literally like down to the bite. Can I just stuff my face, or is this going to be a situation where it just wants out because like I don't know, it needs to relieve some pressure?
Yeah, I feel the same thing happen to me when if I eat a lot and it would come out so big, and then I would stand up and like try and like lean forward and suck it back in like I normally do,
Mhm.
which is kind of this weird like Cirque du Soleil gymnast thing. I don't know. When I had like core ab muscles before they cut them in half for me, I could just stand up, lean forward, suck it back in. But there were times where I'd be, oh my god, like I gotta get back. There was one time in Mexico, I got it stuck. I got it stuck out for like a couple hours. I could not get it back in to save my life, and I was like, what the fuck? And so like, eventually it came back in, and it never happened again. It was actually like easier to work with after that. It was like I had one time that I was actually a little alarmed. I was a little scared. I couldn't get it back in, but it came back. It came back. That was all.
So if you push it back in with your hands, it does not.
I couldn't get it to go. It was like, so mine. What happens is it kind of like becomes like engorged with blood at like the base, and so then I have to kind of like deflate that part of it, kind of nurse the blood back into the rest of the hole, and then I can kind of collapse it into itself.
Because yours
It's so
twists.
crazy. I've never told anybody that. I've never told anybody
you can
that.
trust me with a secret. No one will know.
Yeah, that's a secret. Everybody on the planet's gonna know in a minute.
Because
So
yours twists a little bit, right? It kind of like wiggles. Whereas mine is
yeah,
like completely straight out, and if I push it
yeah,
out, it just becomes a bit rounder. But it's just like it's a straight line.
yeah, yeah. Mine is at the sigmoid colon. When the sigmoid colon prolapses, it bends. There's a bend there. I have my small. This hold on one second. Let me show you. I call this I have the small one on top of my TV. I call it my small lapse in judgment. It does. It has like a little curve. This is like where the sigmoid colon, I guess, would be where it bends a little bit like that. So it comes out.
Well, I've seen that. I've seen that in stores.
Have you?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about making a bigger size together. We're actually talking about Hanky's Toys wants to do the next size up. So because even the biggest one is it's kind of life size, but it's not really life size. So
You know what I would like to do is make a masturbation sleeve out of my prolapse. That is a dream of mine. Because I think beyond the visual aspect, prolapse fucking apparently is amazing. And I would love for everyone to have that sense. I don't know what it feels like. Because like when people ask you, what does it feel to fuck your prolapse? I'm like, I'm not that bendy, okay?
I don't know. That's so funny. Yeah, it's my original plan for the HungerFF dildo was to have it be a sleeve in addition to being like a dildo. So there was going to be like varying levels of silicone thickness throughout it so that they could use it as a fuck sleeve too. But it turned into like a project that was going to cost like 10 times as much as what just making a dildo was going to cost. We went just the dildo route. So it's an amazing idea, and I'm really hoping somebody does it one day because Fort Trough has the rosebud sleeve, but they don't have like a prolapse sleeve. It's just a rosebud sleeve.
Give them
So
time.
it's like it goes on a flip. Exactly. Everyone's coming around to it. As somebody else who has such a big rosebud, if you ever had to navigate people in your DMs treating you kind of, I get this a lot where I am objectified for my prolapse, and it's, you know, I feel sometimes it comes from people that they don't actually care what happens to me if it was to break, and they just want to see how big it can go. Do you ever feel like you're objectified for it rather than, you know, just do you feel like you're objectified for it sometimes?
Okay, so I'm going to keep this one as short as I can because I can be quite verbose. And I'm going to further, because I saw your questions, I'm going to address something else further down the line. So also, here's a teaser for you if you have some ad breaks or whatever. So short answer first. I mean, since the reveal of the prolapse, which for me happened last year, yes, I got so many more opportunities in terms of content and super grateful for it, and it's very humbling. You know, I've had people from the US coming not just for me but, you know, including me in their trip for content. I shot with Stupfist as well, which, you know, they are very particular with the guys that they select, at least when they're abroad. So that's been very humbling, especially I naturally have a bit of a imposter syndrome, and in my other professional career, like the main career, I took so long before actually certifying in my fitness qualifications because I've always thought, who the fuck am I to tell people what to do? I generally have such a high standard for myself and other people that I thought there's going to be a lot of gatekeeping in that community, or the fisting community. For reasons we'll explore, I don't fancy calling it a community. Okay. So I've had a lot of opportunities because, like, here's the reality of it is that I only been doing fisting since 2020, so that's not even a year and a half. So yeah, I got bombarded with so many DMs from people who want to shoot with me. I think in light of what happened to me recently that we're going to delve into, I do have to be more careful about who I meet and what their intentions are. There's someone like a couple of days ago who messaged me on Twitter, and this person has for a very long time ignored my messages or has directly lied to me about their availability or their presence in London, and all of a sudden they just come like a fresh flower in your DMs and literally said, we need to meet. Are you free Saturdays? Are you, because like I want to fist your prolapse, etc. And I do notice that for a lot of people they just see the prolapse as a photo up, and we just so happen to be the person attached to it. And when I use the word person, that's already very generous. They see us as the body attached to the prolapse, so they want their video, they want their photo with it. Especially in the case of that guy who messaged me a couple of days ago, I don't see any fisting content on his page. I never heard of them as a fister. I don't see a genuine interest in it or genuine passion or fetish for prolapses. So I think what's happening in his case, and I think that's going to happen more frequently, is that prolapses are becoming to be in vogue, and creators who are kind of running dry in terms of what they can do with the content. Maybe the following is slowing down, maybe the subscriptions are slowing down. I think they kind of see that as an opportunity to sort of like throw something at the audience and maybe branch out into something. Again, I've only been fisting for a year and a half, so maybe I'm not the most qualified person to say this, but I do. It is incredibly opportunistic, and in those cases, I literally said, I don't see any fisting content on your page. You didn't speak to me for so long. You lied to me many times. I have no interest in shooting with you, even though I know that that's someone with a lot more followers than me. So that would get me an audience. But I'm like, at the end of the day, like, I am still a person. So my purpose is going to do fine without you at this point. You need me more than I need you. And if it's a business, fine. Like, we kind of use each other to a certain extent. It's like, I'm not naive about that. But I think there has to be a little bit of respect and a bit of ethics as well. And when that's missing, zero interest.
It does feel bad for me when I'm treated like a notch on the belt. Like, oh, like I just want to get a video with HungerFF. They don't care about getting to know me, and I know we don't have to get to know each other, but I like getting to know the people that are going to listen to me. I like to walk away with a friend. I like to not feel like it was transactional, and that I feel, if I don't prolapse, if I choose not to prolapse during a session, and then the look on their face at the end, they're like, I thought I was going to get to see it. And I'm like, no, I don't always feel compelled to do it. And so I don't always feel it has to come out. And when people look at me disappointed afterward, that does make me feel like I am just an object to them. And it was just about the prolapse and not about actually me. And that's a bad feeling. It's not a fun feeling at all.
Yeah, I think
I'm sorry to go through the thing.
I'm a bit too much of a people pleaser sometimes. So I'm the one who asks people, do you want to see it?
Oh, okay.
Because it's a cool party trick.
Yeah, I call it a party trick too.
But like, I think now I'm just gonna adopt your stance on this and be like, if I want to show it, I'm gonna show it. if I don't want to, you have to be more patient.
Yeah, exactly. I tell guys how to get it out of me. If you're not going to do it, then it's not going to happen. I don't like to, there's certain ways I like to prolapse. Like, I don't like to do it unless somebody is like a super pig, I don't like to prolapse directly into somebody's mouth unless they're like super into that. Then I'll do it. But I like to people like back up a little bit before I push out. I don't, it's a weird thing for me. And I'm much easier prolapsing on my back than on my hands and knees. And so if they want me on my hands and knees, it's hard for me to prolapse like that. And so, it's just, I've been in the industry now for almost 20 years. And so I'm a little jaded and a little spoiled. So I kind of just do what I want and I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, I just want to say, I want to interject. This is so interesting to talk to you. Anytime I get to talk to like Timmy PH or Thunderhoof or anybody else that has a prolapse like mine, it just feels, I just want to like girl out with you and be like, oh my God, to talk about all the shit that we have
being on air together.
So there's something deeply spiritual about fisting for a lot of us, not for everybody, but for a lot of us. And so how has fisting shaped your identity or the way that you see sex in general?
I think the way it's changed sex in general is that for me, coming is not always the conclusion or the main goal. Just, sort of relishing in feeling the different sensations and building that connection with the person who is fisting you. That's a reward in itself. The big thing about fisting is there is a physiological aspect to it, of course, but I would say like 90% of the pleasure you get from it is like just passing the ring, at least for me.
Yeah.
Everything that's more to do with depth or width, that is more psychological. And again, there's so many sessions where like nobody came and I'm like, I'm good, are you good? And say, yeah, I'm good. So that's kind of changed my perception of sex as well. So now apply that to sex as well, where if it's on camera it's different, but if no one comes, I'm like, did you have a good time? I had a good time. So
yeah, every boyfriend that I've ever gotten into a long-term relationship with, I have to explain to them in the beginning. I'm like, listen, orgasm is not the end goal. Your goal is to have a good time, and if you come, great. But if you don't, it doesn't mean it was a bad experience. It doesn't take anything away from the experience that we just had. It's just an extra bonus. And so, especially with fisting, I'll come just from getting fisted. Like I'll shoot loads out of my chastity cage, but I don't sit there and beat off until I come and then get satisfied. It's like once I'm done fisting, it's like when my hole gives out. So then I usually am done. But it takes a little bit to get there. Well, that's interesting. That we have the same kind of experience. Do you have a prep routine as far as when you're getting ready to shoot a scene or play? Anything prolapse specific? Because I know that for me, I used to joke around and say I used to push her out and hose her down, and because I would always kind of have my hole pushed out while I was cleaning out, which is actually what ended up. It wasn't prolapse related, but I mean I was prolapsing a little bit when I perforated my colon, but it was just a freak accident. It wasn't really specifically with prolapsing. But so do you have any kind of rituals or specific prolapse care that you do when you're getting ready to play?
I guess for me, there's no aftercare. It's mostly everything that comes before. Yeah. So as I said before, I work in fitness, so my diet is an integral part of my job. But also, I'm vegetarian by choice, and I'm intolerant to gluten, and I've got IBS with a lot of stuff. So the care is really having a diet that is extremely boring, but nothing that will irritate me. So that's why I can get a bit pissy when someone cancels last minute, because I'm just like,
yeah,
you have no idea
what I had to go through, bro.
I've been preparing.
That's so true.
But yeah, so it's mostly nothing that will irritate me. In terms of douching, some days it's this, and you have like surprise douching and just a few pumps inside and everything comes clean and you're good. Yep. And I've had experiences where I nearly cried in the shower at the guy's place because it was just like there's more coming out and I don't know where this is coming from.
It's the same. I mean, it either takes me 5 minutes or 2 hours or it's not going to happen. Like it's so hit and miss. That's so funny. I had do you know who Canadian Lifter is? CDN Lifter?
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody.
Yeah, okay. Canadian Lifter is this really hot guy. He lives in Canada and he was here visiting and we've tried to play several times and I finally got him at my house and I was like, yes, okay. Get in the shower, get ready. And then I got in the shower and I was in the shower for 2 hours and I came out and I'm just like, bro, I'm so sorry. I can't it's not happening. And so even with the prolapse, which most people think is easier to clean out with, we still run into the same issues as everybody else.
I will not be vanquished by shit. I want people to know that. I'm like, if I have to spend the entire weekend in the shower, so be it.
Yeah. I'm getting fisted one way or the
I'm getting
other.
fisted. God damn it.
You know, I have my speed dial Rolodex of tops that are into that, so that if I'm like having a shitty clean out, I'm like, I still want to play. Who can I call? So did you ever have a scene that went too far? Or not even a scene, but like a play session that maybe went a little too far? I talked about how my prolapse, I got it stuck out one time, and that was me playing on webcam with a guy who just wanted me to keep pushing and pushing and showing him more and more, and then I logged off and I couldn't get it back in, and I was like, fuck. So that was maybe an example of something, time that I went too far. I don't know if you have any experiences of times where you felt maybe you went prolapse a little too far.
I haven't had that yet, so touch wood, but I guess that will happen at some point because, bodies are not predictable. I think for me, it's more because I related that question more to consent and
Okay.
before I shoot or before the prolapse is going. If I know I'm going to be prolapsing and I'm with someone who is curious about it or just has not seen one in real life, because that happens a lot. I'm a lot of people's first prolapse that they see in real life. And I suppose so are you, or even for you or nine, you launched a generation of prolapses. But I always ask the same questions regarding, okay, what do you like to do? What do you not like to do or to be done to you? So just the basic questions. And I always ask, have you seen a prolapse before? Be it on like in porn or in real life? Have you seen my prolapse before? Because sometimes also when you will shoot with guys and you realize when you meet that they didn't look at your content on your Twitter, and like it's free, you just have to scroll down. But
I always do my homework.
yeah, by the way, this one guy who I shot with, it's a crazy story. He had come out as gay the year before, and he was doing content, and then at the end of the session, he goes like, "Oh, people are doing such extreme things these days. Have you seen those guys who do those prolapse things?" I was like, "Oh no, I would do that. Me, prolapse. It's all over my page." But okay, fine. So I always ask guys, "Have you seen mine?" Because it's one thing to see it on camera, and then it's another thing to see it in real life. I know it can be very intimidating. I know it can look bigger in real life than it does on camera because, it's 3D, so you see the whole width, you see the whole length of it. So far, I've had one guy who just gawked at it and was just silent for a minute.
Not
and
sure.
I was like, "Are you okay?" But I think it smoked weed as well, so maybe that explained it. But
I fainted. I had a guy faint one time when he saw it.
really?
So do you know that video that I filmed with Timmy Pighole where we were like mashing our prolapses together? I don't know if you ever saw that, but it was like one of my first viral videos. It was called Clash of the Titans. And the cameraman that filmed it, we were getting fisted side by side chariot race, and then we both pushed out. We had huge prolapses. We mashed them together and the whole thing. It's really hot. And then the cameraman puts the camera down at the end and is skipping like a broken record. Like he's like clicking like his head like back and forth, and then just passed out. And I was like, shit. And he's like, that was so much for me to see. I don't know what I just saw. Because it was two exposed organs, like mashing up. Kind of freaked him out. So
I haven't had that
I freaked out quite a bit.
Clearly, he didn't know what he signed up for.
No, he didn't. I don't think anybody in the room knew what they signed up for when we signed up for that video, because that video changed my life. Now there's reaction videos to that video from Sharon Osbourne and Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara, all these celebrities watch that video and react to it. It's crazy. But it is like I think that's actually a really what I'm going to take a note from you. And when I meet people for fisting, I never really ask them about. They'll tell me usually if they don't want to see it, and I take that as kind of offensive. When they're like, "I want to fist you, I just have no interest in seeing your prolapse." I'm like, okay, well, you're body shaming me kind of right out of the gate and making me feel a little uncomfortable, weird. So I don't really play with guys that do that, but asking them, vetting their prolapse connoisseurness, I guess. I don't know how much experience they have with it is a good idea, I think. I think that's really clever that you ask them, have you seen my prolapse? Like it's a good thing to ask people.
Wow,
so,
look at me teaching veterans.
I'm always learning. I learn something new from every one of these things. So let's see. Do you find yourself leaning into more of a top or bottom these days? Or are you mostly bottom?
King.
Yeah.
Now a lot of my interactions are codified according to that, and that will be, if not the center of the video, a big part of it.
It's what sells.
Yeah, I mean, if you're shooting content, you have to go with what the audience wants. So I'm mostly bottoming these days, but always file my nails before going to a session, just in case. For me, the most satisfying sessions are verse sessions, because again, the ultimate power verse, as we know now.
Yeah.
But I know it's not always feasible because, not everyone can be douched to the standard of getting fisted for a long time, especially, if you're both getting fisted, then the session's going to take longer because you need to open each other up, etc. So I know verse fisting sessions are great, but sometimes a bit unrealistic, especially if I'm coming from work and the other person is just, if it happens, it's great. If it doesn't, it's fine as well.
Yeah.
What I do like about fisting sessions is that when you're being fisted, then the other person can take a break from it, and then that sort of you have that sort of period of rest where then you can go a bit further, or you can explore something else, you can change position, and it's not just like, do you feel ready now?
Yeah.
There isn't that moment, so you kind of, it flows a lot more, because then you can go, okay, I've had enough for now. Do you want to take a turn? I think there's more of an exchange that way, so that's fine.
I want to play with you so bad. I'm like hearing you talk about like your mentality on fisting is pretty much identical to mine too. I feel the same way. It's when it's a versatile session to be able to take breaks. From time to time, I'm not more of a sprinter than a marathon runner. I can't go like for super long periods of time, but back and forth flipping twice is the ideal situation. The ideal session.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the sort of competition aspect of it, where all the sort of like coming not being the end all be all. It's like, it doesn't have to be 4 hours. Okay, if you get 30 minutes of amazing fisting, that is way better than trying to just who are you trying to impress? Because if it's for content, no one's gonna watch a 4-hour video. Let me put it this way. So unless there's an audience who paid for like fucking Kabuki Theater, like aka a 4-hour performance, then what's the point? Just get a good session and move on, and then you can talk, and then you can have fun in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. I shoot for 15 minutes of footage, like each session. I'm bottoming 15 minutes, and then I'm topping 15 minutes, and I got a 30-minute scene, and it's all gravy. My friend and I just filmed Yoga Pirate. He and I just flipped. We did 2 15-minute sessions. He fisted me first, I fisted him after, and then I came. That's why I was a little bit late. Sorry. You've said, "Give me a dick, I'll take it. Give me a hole, and I'll wreck it." So, have you ever had a moment where you destroyed somebody so bad that you were like, "Oh shit, I fucked that guy's hole up"? Any standout topping experiences come to mind?
So, not wrecking in a physical sense of, I mean,
right. Any good top experiences?
Yeah. So when I fuck, I've got a dick that curves up.
Okay.
So I think the length and the curve is quite perfect to mash prostates very efficiently.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, and I know exactly how to position the guys. My favorite thing is if someone is straddling me in cowgirl, and just push them back a little and say, keep leaning, and then just thrust, and I see it on their face like, that is my favorite thing to do when I fuck. But so it's not so much wrecking, it's more overstimulating that can happen sometimes. The good side of it is that I've given a lot of guys anal orgasms. I think that last Sunday I shot with a couple, and one of them started coming riding me, and he told me that he had never experienced that. I was like, you're welcome.
What has been your most euphoric fisting experience so far? One that made you feel the most alive, the most like, I call those moments like sex magic when I get it right, where it feels like everything is just perfect. Did you have any kind of euphoric experiences that stick out in your mind?
So I don't want to mention too many specifics or name names, because I think, again, especially in fisting and porn, there's a bit of a competition syndrome where, I've sat so many times on my bed with a guy telling me for 2 hours, like, who he's been fisted by and how many fists he's taken, and just like, I'm here. Can we do something now? But I think for me, beside the verse thing that we discussed, everyone's got the different style of fisting. So I like to explore, and some people will be like hardcore punchers. Others are more like
Yeah.
going deeper and deeper and like working their way inside you. So I think there's always a bit of an element of surprise that I like to just discover everyone's personal style. The one thing that if you two things. There's one person who fisted me, and I'd never felt that in my dick. It felt like they were inside my dick, and I guess they were doing something to my prolapse. I was like, just, uh, oh, I was not having any idea, but just like there's someone who fisted me recently. I just tell them, like, I have no idea what you're doing, but you're doing so well because you just completely let go and like your body melts and you just like you don't know if the hands are in or out or if there's like two at once. It's just that's when you just like make one with the universe and it's just like, oh my god, like I'm sort of losing perception of my body while at the same time you have a very acute sense of like your whole. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
That's that.
Chest kiss. I can relate so much to that. I've had several experiences like that where my eyes are in the back of my skull. I don't know what's going on down there, but whatever is happening is working, and so it's working for me, and I'm happy. And and then I look, and then my friend the other night I was getting fisted. It happened to me the other night. He was fisting me. This is just the other day, and he had both hands in my ass up to mid, just probably here, and so that felt amazing. And I was so just in a euphoria pleasure zone that I couldn't tell you if he had two hands in it. I just felt really good. I was just like, oh man, this is amazing. It's interesting. We share a lot of the same experiences, I think.
Yeah, because from all the episodes that I listened to, and it's not, it's different performers. It's so funny and weird how there seems to be a very specific profile of people. Because we're like, all I'm hearing is like, yeah, I recognize myself in a lot of stuff that's been said by different people, and
Yeah.
I think maybe there is, I would say in content, there's like guys like us who I think we have a genuine passion and interest for what we do, and we just want to share and use that as a creative outlet. And then you have people who are just like 100% business and they are after the money. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. That's just not who I am. But, they deal with their conscience or whatever they need to do. But the ones who are more like, this is a part of me that I want to express, we're all the same. We're all, the only thing we want to do is stay home and be cozy. And we're all socially awkward. And we somehow put ourselves in that position where we have like the eyes of thousands of people. But somehow we're just extremely introverted. It's really funny.
Yeah, it is. And I noticed that after I talked to Rock Biggs, everybody that I'm talking to has got this degree of social anxiety where they want the exhibition, they like to be an exhibitionist, the voyeurism of it's a little bit just, I know for me personally, I get anxious in public and I don't necessarily want to, I don't know what to say after you tell me that you love my videos. I don't know what to say. So I'm just like, thank you. And I don't know what to say now. So it's just like, I'm awkward. And so I actually started this show in addition to doing profiles on people and just as a way to relearn how to be social after COVID. It's like COVID made me so antisocial and I never was able to really snap out of that. And so I wanted to teach myself how to talk to people again. And so that's kind of partially why this show came to be as well. All right. So when you're shooting, do you prefer having a cameraman or do you like shooting stuff like by yourself?
If I had the luxury to have a cameraman every single time, I would go with that. Just purely because it stops the sort of stop and go and like repositioning the light, repositioning the camera, etc. Also, it makes editing so much quicker because you just have to cut the bits where an accident happens or just something that you don't want to be shown for whatever reason. But like you can edit a filmed like video on by a cameraman in maybe like 10 minutes, whereas when you have a multi-static camera and POV, it can be such a harrowing process. It's just like, it's like
you're not, you don't like, you don't like,
it's like, I don't want to get there, but once you do it, it's fine. But just the emotional toll of getting yourself to that point is just so.
It's funny. I love the editing process, and I love shooting with multiple cameras. And so for me, it's kind of that is where we differ. It's like I really love filming multiple cameras. Cameraman for me is like feels a little invasive sometimes. Like it feels like there's just the person watching the video knows that there's a cameraman. It feels more professional porno to me than a hookup. Like that which is really kind of the brand or the look I'm going for when I film, is that I want it to look more like actual sex than staged sex. And I think a cameraman sometimes makes it feel staged, but that's just my opinion. You know, I've started experimenting with using a cameraman more often, and it is infinitely easier to edit for sure. You just got to kind of sit there and just watch it and make sure nothing weird happens, and then cut that shit out. So
does that mean that when we meet, you're the one who's going to be editing our video?
I would love to edit our video. I love editing. I would love to. I'm kind of a little bit of a control freak, and I do most of the editing myself, anyways. But I hand it off if somebody's really dead set, they really want to do the editing themselves, I'll hand it off to them. Typically, I do most of my own editing. This is the question I think we were getting to earlier about the community in London. As somebody based in London, how is the scene over there, and do you feel supported, respected, or do you think it is more of a niche battle like it is still in some places?
All right, so I recently posted a long video on Twitter, and if you want to see me cry by myself in my room, I guess that's the place to go. I was invited to what I thought was going to be a shoot, and turns out it was a 4-day bender, much very possibly fueled by all sorts of chems and whatnot. And
Sure.
when I arrived, the terms that I had negotiated beforehand were pretty much all violated. So for me, due to the social anxiety and past experiences that I've had, I need to know how many people are going to be there. I need to know what the chem situation is going to be like. And when I arrived, the place was just like heaving with guys that I'd never met, didn't have any idea who they were. I think we froze again, didn't we? Unless you're very still. We froze. Okay, you can see me. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I explained it in video. If you want, you can go on my Twitter in my media tab. But basically, I had a panic attack. I was sort of coerced or cajoled into going ahead with the filming. More guys were coming in, etc. So I just felt so unsafe. And turns out that the person who did this is known for organizing that kind of events where drugs are being consumed. And I don't even do poppers. I left there thinking that the people who I shot with in London and who I thought I could trust would have my best interest in mind. And what turned out is that most of them, even though they told me they were incredibly sorry for me in private, were not willing to take full accountability of what happened, or even sort of trying to minimize the serious nature of what happened to me, were very quick to dismiss my claims overall. People who I trusted, or I thought I could trust. I was not expecting people to get on this soapbox and make huge statements about that person, because also in the video that I posted, I didn't mention any names, because I was not there for the drama. I was mostly trying to tell people that consent is key, and if you agreed to do something and the other person disregards your requests or completely pulls you out of your comfort zone and puts you in a dangerous situation for yourself, you have to leave and say, like, no matter what the situation is, you have to leave and just say, this is not acceptable. That's not what I did, and I sorely regret it. I think I did what I could at the time. So yes, I didn't expect people to get on their soapboxes.
Are you okay? Like after what happened? I mean, like everything that. Okay, good. I mean, like it just sounds like a really awful situation, and it's a lack of consent and a lack of communication, and just putting you in a situation that was really inappropriate. It sounds like.
I struggle. So I have a past of depression and eating disorders. So I know the signs that I have to monitor with myself. I'm getting there. The first 2 weeks were just horrendous. I barely slept for 2 weeks. I think the thing that sort of kept me going is work, because I had to go back to work, and my work is so like, I'm there to uplift people, and to just like, and also physical activities like create so much endorphins that it didn't help me process, but at the same time it kind of gave me a bit of a respite, and some time where I didn't have to focus on that. But yeah, it's I still have dreams about it. I still
I'm so
that's all right.
Guys are awful. Dude. Guys are awful, especially guys that are on drugs. I mean, I've done my fair share of chems, and so, but one of my golden rules was always to never invite somebody over if they didn't know exactly, explicitly what was going on, because I never wanted to be responsible for somebody being uncomfortable in a situation that they weren't prepared for. And so, to me, when I hear about things like that, I can't imagine the type of person that it takes to do something like that, to put somebody in that kind of position.
I think what shocked me the most about it is, I mean, his behavior. A lot of people have been on my end. Like since I shared what happened to me, I had a lot of people messaging me asking me, "Is this person?" And so it really is telling that you have certain agents within the fisting spheres who are acting inappropriately, putting people in danger. Everyone knows, and nobody does anything. And to me,
I'm really sorry you went through that. It sounds like a nightmare.
the nightmare really came afterwards when I got told that I needed help, that I was portraying him as a monster when really he was like such a sweet guy trying to like make me feel comfortable, that I was accused of doing that to other people as well, which I'm like, excuse me,
It's crazy how the internet can
just
turn shit around on you.
insane stuff. And the thing is, that guy who what he did, I can clearly see where that comes from. It's probably someone who is striving to get validated, someone who needs to be seen with certain people online or offline to feel like he belongs in a community, or that he has a place. It's someone who operates under very sort of primal, selfish instincts that I do believe are the result of drug use. Because
Yeah.
people who are on chems, especially the hard ones, it sort of hardwires you to seek instant gratification. So I can see where that comes from. I'm not saying it's okay, but at least I can understand. It's people who are sober who could do something by excluding those people from the community, doing nothing, protecting no one, accusing, or just going after the ones who do ring the alarm. Because when you tell me, oh, I'm awfully sorry for what happened to you, but then you post the content that you filmed that weekend, like hours after saying that, I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
just it really showed me who I could trust in the future, who I want to keep meeting, who I want to keep shooting with. Because if you choose to publish that content, knowing what happened to me, sometimes witnessing what happened to me, good for you. But then I don't want to have anything to do with you. And for some
Yeah.
people, they were shocked to hear. And again, it goes back to, for them, we're just a body between them and the prolapse. And that's all it was. They didn't want to lose their content. They did not want to lose access to certain people. They didn't want
Yeah.
to lose access to certain events. And I just find that regrettable. So that's why, for me, a community has a meaning of, we have to care for each other. We have to have a sort of code of conduct. And when there's none of that, you're just a group of people with a common interest. But for me, you can't really speak of a community. If you really do not give a shit, I would just wonder what it will take for some of those people to really react. Maybe like someone dying, a crime being committed. Because I'm not being funny, but
Yeah.
we have a wave of homophobic crime happening in Europe right now, where people approach gay men on Grindr under false identities, go to their places and kill them, and steal the stuff. It's happening. I'm not saying it's happening all the time, but it's significant enough that if you decide to be like open house, anyone in, anyone out, one day something's going to happen. I guarantee you.
Oh,
And then who can look at themselves in the mirror and think, okay, I did not participate in that kind of nefarious dynamics. I know I can.
yeah. That's good. I mean, like, I will say this as somebody who has a history of drug use and who I have I have been ostracized from the community at some points in my past because of my drug use. Not because of anything that I did to anybody, but just because I was using. And so it takes getting sober, owning your shit, owning it, and not trying to bury it or lie about it. And then I think there's a possibility for redemption in some cases, not all, like depending on what happened. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was kicked out of the Facebook group that I started. I started Fantastic Friends, and I was removed from it because of my drug behavior. And so it was a direct consequence to my action. It took me years to repair the friendships that I had destroyed. And so luckily now I'm in a really good place with everybody again. I feel for you. I'm really sorry that went on. I feel really, really bad.
Thank you.
I don't know who it was. I hadn't heard about it, and so I'm definitely going to be checking out the video when we wrap this. And you have my support. Whatever it is that happened, you have my support.
Thank you. And the thing is, I also want to say, my ex is an addict. Like, so I know, like I've lived it. It's not a great life. It's not an easy life. A lot of pain. It's a lot of suffering. Not managing to express itself in a healthy way. It's a very lonely life. Even though you might be surrounded by a lot of people, you just,
absolutely.
It's a way to numb your feelings because you can't face them. And when I look at my ex, because we're still on very good terms, he got out of it, even though in terms of like the 12 steps, you're never fully out of it. It's a constant work in process. I do believe that as well. But when I see him now, I am so proud of him, and I'm so happy to see that he's a more complete person. He's dealt with his shit. Like, doing the 12 steps is not easy.
No, it's not.
But it's the result at the end is just, you become such a better version of yourself, and so beautiful to see. So my hope is that people who are in that situation can get out of it, because the out of it part is just beautiful to see.
It's just the work that it takes to get there. A lot of people are afraid to do. It's a hard look at yourself. It's taking a hard look at yourself, your flaws, your character defects, all that stuff. I've been through the 12 steps 2 or 3 times, and so I've got a belly full of recovery. So it's never fun for me.
Would struggle with the 12 steps. It's like, it's really, you have to be a bitch to yourself.
Yeah, it's a guide to living. Steps 2 through 12 are just how to be a good person. If you took away step 1, it's just a guide for living. It's a guide to just anybody can do the 12 steps, even if they're not an alcoholic. It's just steps 2 through 12 that is applicable to almost everybody on the planet. So I've got one more question, and this is my last one. So I'm just going to ask you, do you have any upcoming collabs or projects or anything you're really excited about working on, or anything coming up that people can look forward to, and where can they find more about you on the internet?
Where can they find me? I'm going to answer that because that's quicker. I'm at Angel Díaz, like Cameron Díaz, XXL, everywhere. So that's Twitter, Blue Sky, OnlyFans, just for fans. Upcoming projects? Not really. I have an idea for a video that, like, it's going to be utterly stupid, but maybe just as fun as the one in the park.
Sweet.
I guess what my ambition is to have enough funds and enough access to different people to be a bit more creatively ambitious. I love fashion, I love art, I love photography. I would like to include some of that in the videos that I'm going to shoot in the future. Like, maybe something that is fisting but also beautiful. Like, I dream of, prolapsing on the set full of roses. Something is just like beautiful and stupid and hot and camp at the same time. So that's what I would like to do. In terms of shooting, I think I'm still very much in a space where I need to figure out what the parameters are around who I feel comfortable with and who I want to include in my little bubble. I'm still after what happened, I want to also, like, this year.
Can I be in your bubble?
Maybe I'm gonna go to Darklands.
Can I be in your bubble?
You can be in my bubble. It's okay.
Yeah.
But we build our rapport, so it's they give me about bubbles, all of them. But like, for instance, I was like, this year I'm going to go, or maybe next year I'm going to go to Darklands and this event and this event. That is, I'm not there. Like, I wasn't really there to begin with, but I'm even less there. Because, again, it's navigating. I'm going to see the people I don't want to see. I'm going to be in a situation where if I'm going there for work, if I'm being told, you're going to show up at that time, do this, that, and the other, I'm fine. Because I know it's work. In my head, I can block everything out. if it's just me going to somewhere like Darklands and I feel like, oh my god, like what am I supposed to present? What are people going to think of me? Like, what if I like don't perform the way people are expecting? That is going to trigger all my anxiety, and then I'm going to have another panic attack, which I don't want to have. So I think the mission now is rebuilding my trust in myself and other people. Really, it's not very sexy and glamorous, but that's what I have to say.
No, but it's human, and that's what the whole point of the show is. Angel Diaz, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on with me onto Brolapse. This has been a really great way to get to know you and learn a little bit more about you. And you guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, we are on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, YouTube, Spotify. On Fridays at 8 p.m., the audio goes live on all podcasting platforms, and the video episodes go live as soon as I'm done editing them on Spotify, and also at 8 p.m. on HungerFF.com, just for .fans/HungerFF. And I will also be able to see it on Angel's Just for Fans page. Again, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. I'm really glad we got to know you, my little Prolapse brother on the other side of the pond. So thanks again.
Can I just and then I'll let you finish because you have the last word.
Yeah, yeah.
Like myself and all the Prolapses out there, we all owe you a debt of gratitude, because without you, I would not be here. You paved the way and still paving the way towards destigmatizing something that is completely natural. I think we all live in your shadow for now until the rest of time. You just you're the name that everyone is going to be just against. No, but for real, like, and what you're doing now with this project is so great, because again, like, we're human beings and we have lives and people have all those questions. So it's great that we can answer them and also show a side that we don't show.
You're gonna make me cry. I want to give you a giant hug now. So yeah, I'll hug this thing. All right. Thank you so much. I'm gonna end it here and look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Angel Diaz, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for going deep with me on HungerFF Presents Brolapse. If you're loving the ride, hit subscribe, drop a review, and share the fisting love. Follow me on social media at HungerFF for unfiltered updates and exclusive content. But until next time, keep it raw, real, and always hungry. I'll see you on the next episode.